Okay, good morning. Um, Thank you for joining us. And we are continuing with our business resource calls. I'm Marnie Farnes, the Relationships and Strategy Manager for Columbia River Economic Development Council. And if you're not familiar with us, we are the state designated economic development organization for Clark County. And one of our main areas of focus is helping businesses to grow and expand. And obviously, with the onset of COVID-19, this is an extremely difficult time for everyone, but especially the businesses in this area. And so, for those of you who are struggling, we just want you to know that that we're feeling that with you, and that we're here for you, and we will try to do all that we can to support you the best way possible. So it's been an interesting couple weeks from CREDC perspective. But before I continue, I want to just disclose that we are recording this call. So obviously, I just want to make sure that you all know that. It will be available to come back to. And so once we put it on our website, for those who have missed it, if you know of anybody, then it'd be great if you would all share it. So as I mentioned, it's been a heavy few weeks. And so today I'm really looking forward to hearing from our guests who are going to be sharing tips on how to manage this world that we live in right now. And with us, we've got three special guests. We have Alan Wong, Director of Growth at Gravitate, Mark Tishchenko, founder of Edge Networks, and Lazy Fott, CEO of Spry. And so I hope that I've introduced each of our guests correctly. They will definitely jump in and let me know if that's not the case. But to start, I want to share our, I'm going to share our website with you so that you can see what we have available to you. So we've got a survey that we're asking businesses to take if you haven't already. It will take you about 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes tops, but it's really important information for us. It helps us to know what's happening with your business, because as we communicate to our local, state, and even federal government agencies, that information is extremely helpful and important. So also from last week, we had SBA on our WebEx. We had a representative from SBA. We had Darcy Hoffman from Workforce Southwest Washington sharing on unemployment options. And we also had representative from SCORE. So you can see our video from last week online. And again, if you would be willing to share it with anybody who missed it. You can also see the corresponding PowerPoint on our website. So here's my contact information, Marnie Farnes, and my information. So if you have additional questions after today, feel free to reach out to me. And then we also have resources, and these resources are continually updated. So please be sure and check back frequently. All right. Okay. Okay. So let's jump into Alan, Mark, and Lacey. And why don't we have each of you introduce yourselves today and tell us about the work you do. So Alan, let's go ahead and start with you.
Sweet. I'll unmute myself. Hey, I'm Alan Wong, Director of Growth at Gravitate. Gravitate's been around for 20 years. We build websites and we do digital marketing. It's pretty holistic. We have a team of 25 based out of Vancouver, Washington, and we work with a lot of partners as well. Clients all over the nation, locally here, and also international.
Very good. How about Mark? How about you?
Hey everyone, I'm Mark Tishchenko, founder of Edge Networks. We've been around for about 14 years and we help companies optimize their IT environments and bring a better user experience to all the users of companies. And then we also help companies with cybersecurity strategy and cybersecurity technology and implementation. Our goal is to eliminate any issues with technology where it gets in the way of doing business. We want to make sure that technology doesn't get in the way of doing business and just is there to support the teams.
Very good. And one thing I forgot to mention, if anybody has any questions as we go through this webinar today or this call, if you would put your question in the chat feature over to the right. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see where it says chat. This is just in case you don't know. Probably all of you do know this, but you know I'm learning. So, but you'll see where it says chat. If you'll click on that, then it will open up a box to the right. You can chat your question in there, and we will do our best to try to answer your questions either throughout the call or at the end. And if not during either of those times, then we'll discuss how we're going to do some following up at the end of this call. So anyway, I forgot to mention that. All right, thanks, Mark. Lacey, how about you?
Hi, everybody. This is like the biggest group meeting I've been in since we've been socially isolated, and I can feel it. I feel like I can feel it. So I own Spry, and Spry, we specifically focus on social media marketing. So we can manage social media accounts. We've got about 25 accounts that or 25 businesses that we manage their accounts for. And then we also do consulting work. So if people have an internal team who's responsible for managing their own social marketing, we can come alongside as a resource. And then we also are very, very into education. So we've got weekly blog posts that go out, and I've got a link that I'm going to share afterwards. And we've got a weekly podcast that comes out and a weekly Facebook Live. And you can imagine over the last few weeks, they've been mostly focused on COVID-19 related content and working remotely content. Because the team that we have, there's 8 of us, and we're all remote and have been for years. So we've been doing this for a long time. So it's nice to kind of, it was our little secret for a while, and now everybody's working remotely, and it's going to be fun for everybody. So we've got some insight on that too.
Yeah, good. Thank you. So question for each of you, and Alan, we'll start with you. But so since COVID-19 has started, what are the main things you're hearing from your clients? And also maybe if it's not your clients specifically, but just what are you hearing out there? So both your clients and then just out there.
For sure. Well, our clients, I run the digital departments, the digital marketing departments. So we're lead generation focused essentially. So obviously the question I'm getting a lot right now is like, what do we do with our marketing? Do we cut all budget? Do we shift it towards something else? Should we just pause everything? And my answer to that always is, I mean, it's case by case. The past 2 weeks has been a lot of phone calls. I think no less than like 10 or 12 calls a day, just talking through strategy with different clients, especially as things progress. So it really depends on, you know, the severity of the stay-at-home piece that's going on right now. But again, as far as like what you should do, it's a case-by-case scenario. Just because your competitors are pausing ads doesn't mean necessarily makes sense for you to pause ads. You know, not everybody should panic and just stop marketing. I mean, it's been 2 weeks, maybe it'll be 3 weeks next week, and it might get extended for a couple of months. But what we do know is that this will pass. And what we want to make sure that our clients are doing are setting themselves up for success in the next quarter and the future, not just trying to save money right now. That being said, we have made the recommendation for multiple clients to pause ad spend and restructure that and refocus that time towards something else. A lot of our clients have a big checklist of like wish list items that we work on month to month, and it all comes together in the end as optimizing the site for conversions, or helping them rank better for keywords, like longer term marketing strategies. So depending on the company and what they do, we take all that into consideration from the 1,000-foot view, and we're able to construct a strategy that way and refocus. And I think that's kind of the industry-wide trend for digital marketing, at least. It's just like, should we be conservative right now? How conservative should we be? And what do we do with our marketing?
Good. That's good. Thank you, Ellen. And Mark, how about you? What are you hearing in your world?
Right now, everyone's asking, how do we work more efficiently remotely with teams? A lot of our clients are not as modern as the startups. They require in-person interaction. They have legacy systems that they can't connect to remotely. So for us, the last couple of weeks have been a fire hose of support tickets. How do we efficiently connect back to corporate? So what we started doing was we started creating checklists for our clients, what's important and what's not, and looking at the systems that we want to expose to the public internet. Because what happens now is companies are in a rush to get their employees back working, but they're not thinking about how is it going to affect them long term. And from effect, I'm talking about the things we're exposing to the public world just so that we can allow employees to access those resources. Are we auditing them? That's a question that we ask. How are we going to audit that access over time? So for us, the last couple of weeks has been really optimizing user interaction with their legacy systems.
Good. Thank you, Mark. Lacey, let's hear from you.
Okay, so I put together a short list of some of the questions that I've been getting. Let me start from the beginning. So when things were first starting to go cuckoo bananas, I had some of my retail clients calling, asking me for their advice on whether they should stay open or not, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't think that I have the experience to be able to say whether you should stay open or not. So what I told them is, if you can get quiet, your knowing will tell you what to do. And they all kind of appreciated that, because in this sense, when there isn't a right and a wrong right now, all you can do is make decisions from your own integrity, and you can only hear your integrity if you get quiet enough to do so. And with all the chaos that's going on, sometimes it's hard for us to get quiet enough to make decisions that align with our integrity. So as we're going through this whole process where things are changing so quickly, we've got to be able to find time to get quiet as business owners in order to make decisions that are going to be positively impacting our employees and our customers and that kind of thing. So that was the first one. The second one is for those companies that are still open, for instance, restaurants and that kind of thing. Their question to me is, how do I tell my customers I'm still open? So I'm sure all of you are seeing, when you are trekking out to drive to the grocery store or whatever you're doing, the amount of innovative homemade signs telling people they're still open are hilarious right now. I mean, I was driving on 500, and I think PetSmart has a big sign out that's definitely made with white tape that says we're still open on the side of their building, you know? So certainly you can make a nice homemade sign and put it out on your street. But from our expertise, there are a few things that you can do with your social media marketing and your digital marketing that tell people that you're still open. So we have a blog post about this, and I will send the link so that you all have it afterwards. But here are the things that we talk about it. For one, on Instagram. So on Instagram, you have your little bio section, right? You've got like a very short few sentences that you can have in your bio. And I'm recommending that everybody update their bio with any changes or adjustments to their availability. So are their hours changed? Put that right into your Instagram bio so that when somebody comes to look, they see that right at the top, you know, new hours, noon to 8 p.m., delivery and curbside pickup only. Having it right there in your Instagram bio makes it easily digestible, and that's where people are going for that information right now. If they can't drive by and see your homemade tape sign, they're going to your Instagram and your Facebook, okay? So your Instagram bio is one option. Also, Instagram story highlights, okay? So let's say that you're consistently doing Instagram stories to keep people updated, but those expire after 24 hours, right? So you can create an Instagram story highlight that says COVID-19 updates and just put the most recent updates right into that story highlight. Then on the Facebook side, utilize pinned posts, okay? So you can create a post that says your most recent updates. Okay, now we're open this time and we have these services available. Normally, if you just let it go, it would fall down your timeline as new posts come up, but there's a function to allow you to pin a post to the top of the page so that it stays there at the top of your timeline regardless of new posts that are coming out. So that's one thing for Facebook that we're recommending. And then also on Facebook, if you do have updated hours, update those hours on your Facebook page. It's easy to change them and change them back, but it's better for them to be accurate than for them to just remain what they were before on your Facebook page. That'll be confusing. And then the last thing on that front is Google Business Listing. So if you have not claimed your Google Business Listing, then it's going to be harder. But if you have claimed your Google Business Listing, then you need to be going in there and updating your hours and availability as the situation is changing. And then you can also create posts inside Google Business Listing so that you can you know, keep updating people of what's going on. Okay, so that's how do I tell my customers I'm still open. Then very similar to Alan, the question, I'm closed, I can't sell anything right now. What do I do with my marketing? So the idea of, do I just pause my marketing for right now? Certainly that's an option. However, everyone is sitting at home right now on their devices. And what we're finding with the people who are continuing to do their social media marketing is a lot of it is an increased engagement rate because people are sitting, they are there anyway. And so we're actually able to reach them better than we were before. So what kind of content do you put out? You know, you obviously can't put out promotional content because you're not selling anything right now, right? So instead, you can do what we call more community building content, you know, reaching out, asking people within your community who already follow you how they're doing, getting them to have good, valuable conversations on your content. Because what that's going to do is increase that overall brand loyalty, and that will live longer than this situation is going to last. Okay, I think that's probably pretty good.
No, that's great. Thank you, Lacey.
Mhm.
Question for you. Is it easy for, okay, so different businesses have obviously different experience with their comfort level in using social media. Is there one social media preference that over another that you would recommend, or does it just depend on, say, the type of business?
That's a great question. That is one of the tips that we had on our checklist too, is, okay, if you've got Facebook and Instagram and Google Business Listing, and maybe you've got an email list too, like how can you manage all of these things at one time, especially if you're not used to doing all of it, right? So the idea would be to kind of audit which of those gets the most traffic, okay? So do you have quite a bit more followers on Facebook than you have on Instagram? Or do you have quite a bit more people in your email list than you have on either of your social platforms? That's one way to make the decision. The other way would be just your own comfort level. And a lot of people, I don't know, without being ageist, if you're struggling, Facebook is probably your easiest choice. Instagram, the target demographic for that range is, more like 25 to 40. And so if your customers aren't in that age range, or if you're just more comfortable as the marketer on Facebook rather than Instagram, just pick one channel, be it Facebook, be it Instagram, be it your email, and then direct people towards that channel. So maybe on Instagram, you're going to update your bio to say, new updates coming out on Facebook, follow our Facebook page. And on your email, you're sending out an email that's directing them to that one channel. But most of the time, if there are people who are less tech savvy, Facebook is probably going to be their platform of choice. Did I say that without?
No, yeah, it's good.
Okay.
And I know that there are tutorials that you can watch on like YouTube. So I know when I got into Instagram a couple of years ago, I was like, oh, I don't even know how to use Instagram. So the first thing I did was watch some tutorials on YouTube. So that's always a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Learning real time. Alan, did you have anything else? I have a question for Mark, but I just wanted to make sure, kind of while we're talking about marketing and social media, is there anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, for sure. Piggybacking off of what Lacey was discussing about businesses that are actually closed right now, one of the biggest things that we see clients kind of oversight is their sales funnel. For example, like a home remodeler, or something that's a larger item purchase where you go into the store and purchase, something that has a longer sales funnel. If you're pausing your ads now, or you're pausing your social media and all your marketing efforts now, that's going to affect your pipeline, a month from now, 2 months from now, when everything's back up and running. So you're not going to have those customers that are ready to purchase or commit to a project and things like that. So we've had service-based clients like that adjust their marketing and their message to that. Like to Lacey's points, instead of hey, schedule your consultation right now, we have more of like inspiration type advertising going out there. Or we have virtual consultations. Like you can still talk about your project, you can still get inspiration. We can still talk about what your needs are and discover now, just to get that ball rolling. And again, to Lacey's point, people are home and engaged. So it's just, how do you talk to your audience in the right way without being insensitive to the current situation? We don't want people being like, yeah, this is the last thing I'm worried about is remodeling my kitchen, or, getting my eyebrows microbladed, or whatever the service is.
You're not worried about that right now, Alan?
I am.
I think we all kind of are.
Yeah.
At least I know I am. It's like, my hair.
But yeah.
Tutorial, time to watch it on YouTube.
Don't do it at home. That's what my barber told me. But yeah, so back to that sales cycle, just to wrap that up, just keep that into consideration. If it is a longer term sales cycle, it's still like brand awareness is still good. From the marketing standpoint, if you're posting like an article or advertising like a good how-to article or informational, first of all, people are going to love that content. So you'll probably get cheaper interaction. Your competition is probably going to be lower. So again, cheaper interaction. But also you can, on the creepy side of things, you can capture that on your Facebook pixel or Google pixel, and you'll be able to remarket to those people down the road when you're back open, and you can, showcase whatever promotions you have going on and showcase that you're open again.
Can I speak to one point there too?
Of course.
So one of the other questions that I had on my list that Alan hit on just now is, how do I market during this time without being insensitive and looking like I'm taking advantage of the situation? And that is such a fine line. We've been talking about that as a group on our team each week on our calls. So here's what we've come to so far. Like, you almost have to reference it in your content, because everyone is experiencing this same thing at one time. And if you don't reference it, people are just going to glaze over your content because it doesn't relate to them at all, right? Mm-hmm. So that's difficult. I've found myself, all of these images that we've pre-planned and come up with campaigns for the next few months, we can't use them because we can't even have pictures of people standing together in our content, or else people will say this is not social distancing. You know, it's such an interesting thing. So the things we've come up with basically is, you have to reference it because you have to be relatable, but don't put a negative spin on it. You know, don't like be fear mongering at all. And then also, what's the second thing? And don't try to be a source of news at all, right? It is not your job as a brand to put out the updates of what's happening. At least mini brands, it's not your responsibility. So be careful trying to put out facts, and just try to focus more on touching base with your community, finding out how they're doing and looking for more support and engagement, instead of, you know, trying to make a lot of sales off of this necessarily.
Yeah, piggybacking on that, an example that I have that I thought was super interesting. I mean, we're taking that into consideration with our marketing as well. But client base, probably one of the strongest examples of that is it's a national beef jerky company that we work with. So they are both in store and they're also selling e-com, direct to consumer. There was a there's a lengthy conversation around, you know, how do we position that? Like, it would be easy, but it would also be insensitive to say, hey, beef jerky has such a long shelf life. You should like stock up on this, get your protein fix, you know, put this in your cupboard that gets way better than, you know, baked goods or something. And that's not what we wanted it to be. We didn't want it to be a fear-based thing and saying like, hey, make sure you stock up, like stores are going to run out or whatever. You know, so we chose something a little bit more playful and on brand. I think we said beef up or something like that. And it wasn't even like, you should stock up on your on beef jerky. It was more just like a normal advertising thing that we have going out that would still be good content for their customers. And with that same brand, we made the decision not to be too focused around it. They actually have like a character that they created around the brands. So we always view it like, well, what would he actually do? Like, how would he actually react to that? And on our end, we're focused more on like telling the story. Like, people want good content. We have really great content for that specific client, you know, going out to different national parks, exploring the woods, funny videos that they've made, things like that. So we're really focusing in on that piece.
That's good. Okay, another question. And this has more to do with doing all of what you just recommended, but doing it obviously remotely, which you're used to. But for those businesses that aren't, any advice for good strategies as far as organizing their team remotely to do these things?
Okay, I have a few, if that's okay. I put up, I sent Monica a link. I did a Facebook Live yesterday where I kind of highlighted some of these, but I'll just hit on them real quick because we've been running our team remote for a long time. So the way that we do it successfully is we do one weekly video chat all team meeting, right? And I keep it very short, like a 30-minute video chat all team, so that we can see each other's faces, get the extra data from seeing each other's faces to help us figure out how each other are doing. And on that call, we talk about what our focuses are for the week and what support we need for the week. And then we're also using like an internal communication tool. We use Slack, and we have a thread on Slack that's like our daily check-in thread. So everybody has to go in by 10 o'clock and just say, here's what I'm doing for the day. So that way we know, and here's what my hours are for the day. So that we know when we can get them, what they're going to be focused on. If we need anything from them about that project, we know what they're working on. From a little bit more of an emotional standpoint, there are a few things that we can do. This doesn't hit on our team, but it does with our clients a lot. If there are some members of the team who maybe are less technologically savvy than others, create partnerships where you've got one employee who maybe is more technologically sound, partner them with one of these people who need a little bit more support so that they can have one specific person they can reach out to when they need help. And that person can call them by phone and walk them through so that they don't feel like they have to go to the whole team to ask for help. So if you think of it like common sense, if you were in your office space and there was a new employee coming in, the employee who is older and more established would team up with them and help them figure out the processes. It's the same thing now. We're just leaning a little bit in the other direction, like hug a millennial, right now, because, well, not really hug them because that's not allowed, but, air hug a millennial, right now to get the support you need to figure out how to do your Zoom calls. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple kind of emotional things that I think are important is welcome family interruptions. Okay. So we are all working in our homes right now, and employees might feel really uncomfortable trying to stay professional, but having their kids and their dogs and whatnot around. As the leader of a remote team, it's your job to help them feel more comfortable. So if family interruptions happen, welcome them, because if you make them feel uncomfortable, then they're not going to be able to focus and get their job done properly in the scenario that they're stuck in. And then last thing is as a leader of a remote team, it's your responsibility to be vulnerable first too. Okay. Because even like yesterday when we were practicing this and you were talking to us and you're like, you all know how to do this so well, you're experts at this. But the truth is, like, we probably mess up as much as you do. We just know that it takes a little bit longer to figure it out. And so we're easier on ourselves. So as a leader of a team, if you're the first one to say, I'm struggling with this in our new setup, then you're giving permission to the rest of your team to say what they're struggling with. And it makes frustration a normal thing for us to share and work through instead of something that's isolating.
No, that's really good advice. I know it's, we've had some, just some moments of laughter as a team these last few weeks. So yeah, thanks, Lacey.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, I have a question for you. And I don't know if I'm digressing or not, but tying this in with cybersecurity and remote work, what kind of pitfalls might be easy for teams or businesses to fall into, and maybe how can they avoid those things? What are some of the common pitfalls?
The most common one right now is IT teams are going too fast. They're going too fast to onboard new team members in the remote environment, and they miss things. They're not paying attention to, are these permissions correct? Because it's easier to, open up your door to your office or to your house without really checking who actually has access to that door. So when people are opening up, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive to share with their team, they're just sharing it with everyone. And going back through thousands of files later is very difficult. So stepping back and leadership having more empathy, I guess, to their IT teams and understanding that they need to go through a checklist, not just allow people to get in, is very important. The other one is phishing via email is going to be just devastating to our businesses in the next coming months. Because people are working remote, they don't have physical interaction with their superiors. And when your CFO sends you an email saying, hey, make a wire transfer to this company, you take it as is instead of going and saying, hey, did you actually send me that email? Mm-hmm. So that's a big thing. And it's 80% of all attacks, phishing. So we really have to be vigilant and pay attention to who's sending, who's making requests, who's accessing or who's asking for access to certain information. Mm-hmm. Are they allowed to?
Yeah, I have a quick question about that.
Yeah.
So for those who maybe don't know, what is phishing, and what can happen if you open up an email or download an attachment that maybe is not one that should be opened?
Yeah. So phishing is me pretending to be Jen and sending you an email and saying, hey, Marnie, can you go get me these gift cards? I need them. I could send you an email with a fake email address that looks like I'm Jen sending you an email. And if you're not paying attention to where that email came from, you could possibly go get those Amazon gift cards and send them to me. And that's an attack right there. We had one recently where a CFO sent an email it was a legitimate email to their accountant saying, hey, wire transfer $1 million to our vendor. And he got on a flight and was off the grid for the next 8 hours. It was international. When he landed, somebody sent another email saying, hey, this is the account that you need to send the wire transfer to. The wire transfer went through. It took them about 3 days to realize that it went to the wrong person or the wrong company, and they were out $1 million because somebody sent a phishing email to the CFO earlier. It was months earlier and was monitoring their mailbox. So just by sending an email to somebody, you could inadvertently allow access to a certain string or a certain chain within your email. Mm-hmm. So it's
good to know.
Very, and we were talking about not talking about fear, but for the last couple of years, I've been, don't be afraid of cybersecurity. You just need to know and get the right partner. Well, today is, from my standpoint, I think we need to be more vigilant and be paying attention to what's happening in our IT environments.
Yeah. What about since everybody's working on their computers, like firewalls and virus protection and those types of things?
So when you're in a corporate environment using a corporate asset, corporate IT typically has access to your, anti-malware platforms, your firewalls. When you're off-site working remote, in most cases, they don't have that kind of access, especially if you're using a personal device. We see a lot of companies saying, oh, set up my personal laptop to access my corporate laptop. Well, that could be the doorway for an attacker to get in, because that personal laptop isn't managed by corporate policy. And mature organizations have policies and procedures of how to handle IT. Whereas when you take that out of the corporate environment and put it into your personal device, you're exposing so much to the corporate networks and corporate platforms.
Okay, one more security question, and this one came up for us because we're using Zoom, but I'm sure it's the case with any program that a business might use for things like what we're doing right now, this call. So like with Zoom or any of the others, is there anything security-wise that we need to be mindful of or cautious of? Any preventative tips? Any stories to share? or any
Zoom
of them?
does, Zoom does a really good job. For us, the biggest attack vector is email and malicious downloads and applications that people get most likely from email. Zoom is a pretty closed circuit platform, so you don't really have other ties into it. I think be mindful who joins those meetings, especially in larger organizations. You don't want to expose certain information to somebody that shouldn't have been on that meeting. That, for me, that's the biggest one. But if you're using Slack or Microsoft Teams, then your exposure is a lot wider because you can invite external participants into those channels. And not everybody audits those channels. They don't go through and say, hey, who actually does have access to this Teams group or this Slack channel? What are they seeing? What information are they looking at while we're working, remotely, and think that only this small group has access to it, but in reality, there's others. And usually something that looks like a number or something ambiguous there, just remove it, get rid of it. If it was a real person, they'll ask for permission again.
Thanks, that's good information. Lacey or Alan, do you have anything that you've heard of or that you know of that you want to add? No?
Lacey, you first.
Okay.
Yes. Just kind of like anything closing or anything security related.
Well, let's start with security. Do you have anything security related?
No.
It's fine if you don't. Okay. Alan, how about you?
I think the only thing, as far as like our meetings, that we're stacking a lot of these, so just throw a password onto your meetings, mostly. So my perspective, so other clients and people don't jump into a call when you're talking about something else, because people jump on early, meetings go long, things like that. More of an organizational thing.
Okay, I lied. I came up with one. We did a podcast and a blog post recently called "What the Hack." Just kind of reminding people, if you are administrators on Facebook pages, your Facebook account is one of the most likely things to be hacked. So update your Facebook password. Make your Facebook password something that's different than any of your other passwords. Update it quarterly, especially if you are an administrator on multiple pages.
Alan?
To that,
Mark?
sorry, I'll jump in.
No, good.
From a passwords perspective, Lacey's completely right. People reuse their passwords over and over. And when a platform like Zoom or Facebook or Instagram or anyone, when they get compromised, those passwords get dumped. And most likely, we as humans, because we reused the password from one platform to another, well, now we just exposed all of the platforms that we've been using. My recommendation, and that's what we use internally, is Dashlane. It's a tool that allows you to create a new password for every different platform that you have. And if Dashlane does get compromised, hopefully this is true, but that's what they claim, all those passwords get wiped. You don't even know your password to log into Facebook. For instance, when I try to log into Facebook or my bank account or anything, all those passwords are different and they're very complex. I don't even know them, but I do have my Face ID on my phone, which allows me to access those services. So Dashlane is a very great tool to make sure that you separate all your passwords.
Wait, did you say dash link?
Dashlane, L-A-N-E.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll post a link in chat. I use that.
Yeah, I'll send it to everyone here.
Anything else, Alan?
On the security fronts, no, I don't think so. We actually utilize Dashlane internally as well. So it's a super good tool to utilize.
Good to know. Okay, I'm going to throw in another question. So it's fine if you don't have an answer for it because I didn't prepare you for this in advance, but it's something that it just popped into my head. What are you finding yourself telling your friends and family related to questions that are coming up? Like, what's the best little piece of consistent advice you seem to be giving right now?
Okay, we've got one. Because we work on social media, that's our job. We are being very mindful of our own personal social media use. So some of the advice that we've been giving people is to set timers of how long you're spending on your own personal social media, because it is very easy to tunnel and read article after article after article, and then share this meme and share that meme and share this meme, and now you're frazzled. And the whole point of getting on social media was to try to connect and express yourself, and all you've done is exasperate your anxiety. So setting personal timers on your own social media use. And then if there are people or brands who have content that is making you feel more anxious, when you're scrolling through your feed, you can click the little three dots next to their post, and you can mute them for 30 days. You can unfollow them, because this right now is like this is like where you're spending a lot of your time right now. And if you don't curate your feed for an experience that makes your life better, then it's going to make it worse. So kind of take your own feed into your own control. Mute people who are giving out content that is making you feel more anxious. Yeah, I think that's all of it.
Yeah,
That's good.
I think my biggest thing is just the fact checking. I mean, we have like the traditional family group text that gets a bunch of articles sent back and forth and things like that. I'm always, again, like as an analytical person, always fact checking and double checking what I'm reading and things like that. I like your tip a lot, Lacey. And then with that, I'm the optimist. So I'm always like, we're playing it week by week. Let's just figure out the plan like that is until we hear different news.
Mark, anything?
I am with Alan. Fact checking. There's so much fake news going around right now about this and that. I heard a really wild one the other day that NASA is going to be trying to eradicate this pandemic with cell phones. I was like, that's not even possible. But fact checking and making sure that where you consuming that information and avoiding any negative information during this time will just make us happier human beings. And happier human beings tend to be contagious in the happiness component. So I think avoid as much negativity as possible.
Yeah, good. And we're kind of getting short on time here. We're getting to the end of this, but anything inspiring that you want to share real quick? Any inspiring stories that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, on my end, again, focusing on clients and just seeing the way that everybody's kind of reacting to it, I think is pretty inspiring. We have a nonprofit that we work with called InvestEd. They repurposed a $250,000 fund to help students in Washington that have a need. That was an initiative we're fortunate to be part of and push out. Internally on Gravitate's end, just the way that our leadership team is handling it, trying to keep the team motivated, engaged, and making sure everybody's feeling good and optimistic has been pretty inspiring. And just seeing what the business community around here is doing as well, like everybody's kind of rallying together. Yeah, I think that's the positive social media that Lacey and Mark like too.
Good.
I think my team thought it was weird, but when we had our first group chat after this, I was like, isn't this exciting? They're like, what are you talking about? This is terrifying. But what I think is so inspiring is like the innovation that this drives. When you displace the normal behavior of a large group of people, it makes room for innovation. And so you see these people who have had a retail store who are all of a sudden being forced to digitize, and you watch how they do it, and they have to do it so quickly that they do it a different way than you would normally do it. And that kind of innovation is so, I don't know, I think it's kind of exhilarating, and it's inspiring to see how people are taking this and just turning it into a new way to do business instead of just the same old things.
Good. And I wanted to invite Monica, who has been, who's on our team, our communications director. Monica, are you there?
I am.
Hi, Monica.
Hi, everyone.
I understand you have something that might be just a good reminder to share.
Yeah, just a reminder for everybody on the call to keep checking the resources pages on our website. We have one in English and one in Spanish for the latest information for support for businesses. We will be updating with the video from this call, as well as the links, the notable links that Mark and Alan and Lacey have shared with you. So keep checking and be vigilant about where you're obtaining your sources of truth, like the panelists have said today. We have links to all of the support from a business perspective, but stay tuned to official channels where you can get the latest and greatest information. So thank you, and thank you, Marnie.
Yeah, thank you, Monica. And just kind of tying back into passing along crazy information, it's just always a good reminder, you know, of our college days or high school days, or just when we were writing those papers, always check the source. It always comes back to, like, what was the source of your news? So anyway, before we wrap it up, Monica, did we have any questions that we still needed to answer, or are we good there?
We are good on this side. Thank you.
Good. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you all for being here. Lacey, Mark, and Alan, we really, really appreciate all the good information that you've shared. I know for us on our team, you know, we are just so used to interacting in person with our partners and our businesses. So on some level, this is new for us too, and so we're feeling it as well. Lots of stressful moments, lots of opportunity to laugh at ourselves, and so yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to the next call, and look for those things on our calls on social media, and just want to say thank you, and be in touch. Oh, really fast, let me share one more time our website for those of you who weren't on when I shared that. One second, see, rookie in action. Keeping it real. Okay. All right, so for those of you who weren't on earlier, this is our website, this is our resources page. As I mentioned, it's being updated all the time. We have a great team who are just working so hard to keep this updated. And there's our guests from today. And here is my contact information. So if you're a business and you need some direction, if I can't help you, I can do my best to put you in touch with somebody who can help. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Great. Thanks for coordinating.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.